Hey guys, what is up? AwesomeTheSauce here. Hope you guys are having a great day and welcome to another video on the most recent PvP change. Now, if you missed the last video, basically I talked about all the changes that were literally put into the game today. So those were a lot of changes. It's actually a really like, I don't know, it's like a sweeping change. So if you haven't checked that video, you should check it out. But I also wanted to make a video on the future changes. I wanted to make a video on that because there's a lot of stuff that they're talking about, and it could literally completely change how some schools are set up in terms of the current hierarchy. So I'm gonna link the dev diary below where they kind of talk about why these changes are happening. I'm just gonna cover what the changes are, so let's get right into it. So the first part of this little future update type thing is a health update. So basically, they're thinking of changing health such that 3 schools in particular get more HP. The 3 schools that they brought up were Storm, Life, and Death. Now, let's break them each down one by one, and I'll talk about why they may or may not need more HP. I think for me, Storm is the most obvious one. I know a lot of people are saying that it is a part of Storm's identity to not have that much HP, and I do agree to an extent, but the problem is other schools that are also very offensive have just left them in the dust. So, like, we're talking about the Myth and the Fire Wizards. They have more HP and better utility, right? So in terms of school identity, you're looking at Storm having 1,000 less HP on their health identity, and then they're also punished because they have very few things that can deal with other problems. Like, if someone volcanic shields, not only can you not deal with it as a Storm, now your school also holds you back because you have 1,000 less HP than everyone else. In contrast, Fire has more HP, and nowadays it has more damage, and also when you shield, they got overtimes. When they need to stall, they got Ifrit. They have hit and bubbles, things that steal and hit. They have a better hit and stun, and they also have more HP to boot. Honestly, if it were up to me, I would say that Storm, currently, given their tools, I would actually think that just off of the fact that Fire has a 2-pip over time, I would say that Storm should actually have more HP. I know that sounds crazy, but I genuinely believe that. I think if you're going to give them so much worse stats than Fire, why does Fire get more HP as well, right? I think that's an important question. Who knows what this will do? I mean, I really doubt that Storm will end up with more HP than Fire, but it's definitely a good argument as to why Storm should have more HP than it has now. As far as Life having more HP, I definitely think that's interesting, mainly because it will make them play to their identity more, because the more health you have, the more healing you could theoretically do, and the harder it is to one-shot you. Again, just like kind of the Fire and Storm thing, I think it's nice to move away from one school having the monopoly on an entire thing like defense. Ice has more HP than everyone, and it also has more resist than everyone, and it also has more block than everyone. I think it totally makes sense to remove one of those, and given that you need crit to heal, it totally makes sense to me out of resist and health to give Life a little bit more HP. I honestly don't think this is a hard one. I mean, yes, if they have way too much HP, well, maybe it's harder to kill them. Yeah, I guess that might be a thing, but let's be honest, they just made damage a lot better, so hopefully it makes for a balanced change. I definitely think that health is a stat that Life is missing out on the most. I can't think of any other way to change Life and make it better without making it broken. You feel me? I think health is the answer for Life, and I'm glad that they're focusing on that for Life as well. I'll be honest, the only one that I don't understand out of the mix is Death. Now, here's the thing. I don't think Death is exactly that great at PvP, so I guess maybe buff it up by giving it some HP, I guess. But I don't know. It's a little bit weird. I feel like the problem with Death is that they're drains, which is supposed to set them apart. It's just they do very little, and the vast majority of the good drains that they do have are AoEs. We're talking about Scarecrow and Krulu. So I guess if you want to make them more competitive, I guess health is a good place to focus. As long as increasing their health doesn't, you know, work against them getting better drains, I don't care, obviously. So yeah, I guess I don't mind. I don't think Death is that great, so yes, buff it. But hopefully this doesn't stop them from giving them actually good drains. I think that's all I'm a little nervous about. I wonder how much the HP is. According to the dev diary, the other schools are only going to change by about 20 HP in terms of their max health, so it's really not going to affect them at all. It's these 3 schools that are going to be affected. So especially Storm and Life, we're going to see a very interesting shift in playstyle, and I'm very excited for that. Now, another big change that I'm very excited about is that they're going to change Taunt and Pacify. Now, if you guys don't know, basically, right, Taunt and Pacify currently do not work in PvP whatsoever. So let's say I were to use a Mega Soothe for whatever reason, it would be a terrible move, because even though it says majorly reduced threat on target, if I use it on another person, they can still hit me. The only exception to that rule are the caramel spells. So Grenadier, Shatterhorn, if you use the Taunt and Pacify effects on those actually do work. So for example, if you have a minion out on a life and you use a Grenadier, they actually cannot target you. So now they're going to be focusing, in the future anyways, I guess, on making these actually have an effect in PvP. Now, I'm very excited because one minion in particular, the Water Elemental, does have a taunt, and it is actually kind of high HP. So it would be really, really cool because, I mean, you know, Storm is, you know, a little bit weaker than the other schools. It'd be cool if its high health minion can take away some of the threat from you and transfer it to it. Now, I don't know how the actual spells are going to work. Maybe you could use it to reduce threat on yourself. Maybe when they're in Shrike or something, you can force them into using an AoE. Maybe you could see a Shrike counter in terms of this. I have no idea. I mean, we see that with Life. You can technically counter Shrike with a Grenadier play, but it doesn't work if they have AoEs. So if they use, like, I don't know, like a Fire Dragon as a fire, this won't work. So it's not exactly a foolproof option, which is why I'm not huge on this, but I definitely think minion-wise, it could be a really cool addition, especially for a school like Storm. One of the most recent changes added a couple of trainable TCs for every school. The real ones that are in question here are the hidden shields that every school got, and essentially somewhat of a hidden buff that every school got. So for example, Fire got Glacial Golem as their hidden shield, and for their hidden buff, they got the Naphtha Scarab. So now they're gonna add another trainable TC. Now, I think Ice and Fire kind of got stiffed a little bit. I think Thieving Dragon is fun to use. I'm not sure how good it really is in terms of competitiveness in PvP, and Fire for sure. I mean, I've seen people use the Scarab in really creative ways. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a useless spell, but compared to every other one, like, this spell's useless. Yeah, I thought this was a Pierce trap when I first looked at this. It wasn't. It's an overtime trap, which is, you know, it's cool. It totally fits a school identity. It's just, it's kind of underwhelming. So maybe they'll add another trainable TC. I have no idea what these would look like. I assume that they're gonna resemble the Decathlon spells. So for example, I assume, again, this could be, I could be totally off. I assume that Fire's going to get something like a hit and Steel Charm. I assume that, you know, maybe Storm will get a 3-pip catch of the day for 1 pip. Maybe they'll get a hidden bubble because apparently they don't have one, right? So we might see a different thing for different schools. I have no idea. I look forward to it. I think new spells are always a good thing, especially if all it really takes is making a TC into a spell. I think the work is a little minimal for that, so it is exciting. We might actually see that also come through. Now, arguably the most exciting change in the dev diary that I'm excited about anyways is the fact that they're seriously considering adding a new event for PvP. Now, by event, we're talking about things like Beast Moon, Decathlon, Spiral Showcase. Right now, when you buy a when you buy a Summer Scroll of Fortune or something, there are tons of ways to gain points. Literally none of them involve PvP in any real meaningful way. The only way PvP even, like, gets involved is during Decathlon. If you're using TCs in PvP, you'll get 20 points or something a day. That's about it. That's as far as it goes. It's a little ridiculous how overlooked compared to every other event PvP is. So they're thinking of potentially adding, especially with the new age, a rank reset, you know, instituting an elo system, all of that. They're thinking of adding a new event. Now, I don't know what that'll mean. Who knows? But I assume that it'll mean that queue is going to be insane. Like, there's going to be tons of people in queue, tons of new strategies. Maybe, like, you know, there'll be, like, you can get points for using a shadow creature. You can get points for using certain spells. I think there's a lot of room for, you know, actual, like, creativity there. And I really hope I hope they go ham with it. I really do. Like, imagine if you get a point in this PvP event for using a Daybreaker spell, for using a delay cast or something. You might see people go for delay cast plays that they never went for, and who knows, it might actually work well, especially now that rank and matchmaking are actually, like, they kind of make sense. Like, you can look at the queue right now. This is without any event, any real incentive to play, right? The only thing that they've done is make it free. There are 9 teams waiting in queue right now and 24 games going. That's 48 people right here. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. So, like, like, if they incentivize PvP, that could mean a huge thing for PvP. Maybe they can add cosmetic items like in Beast Moon. Literally, the options are endless. I'm like, I'd be over the moon if they kept PvP free to play and added a whole ass event like Beast Moon or Decathlon. I guarantee you, a number of people that will actually try PvP for the first time will go up, and the number of people who will enjoy it, I know they'll like it. I think for the first time in a while, I'm so optimistic, and I know that that's not like me, so, you know, it's a good thing. But this changes rekindled the fire. But yeah, man, I think the biggest key here is we gotta stay patient. I'm sure that there's gonna be another thing to complain about, another thing that gets exploited, I'm sure. But this most recent set of changes and their future plans, it paints a good picture. Let me know what you guys think about the upcoming changes. What do you guys think about Taunt? What do you guys think about the health changes? And what do you guys think about a 5th age PvP event? As always, drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a sub if you're new, check out the other video if you haven't, and as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. So stay awesome. I'll see you guys on stream. I will be doing this new, I will be testing out this update, so I can't wait to see you guys there. Stay awesome, and yeah, yo.